Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Mark from TCG Discussions. Today we're talking about Emu and whether or not the deck is good. So let's just get into it because I think this deck is broken. Spoiler alert. So the leader in the effect, 4 life, 5,000 power leader, and immediately I was like, monocolor black, but not 5 life. That's weird. But after looking at what the deck does and everything that it can do, yeah, this could not have been a 5 life leader for sure. Per the rules, you may not play cost 2 or greater events in your deck. Also, at the beginning of the game, play up to 1 Holy Land Mary Geosei type stage from your deck. So there's one that comes out in OP13, and there's another one that's already out that fits this bill. The 7 cost one that comes out in OP13 is going to be used against everybody, and I think the 1 cost one will be used in the mirror because there's a stage popper that's inherent to the deck that can get rid of your 7 costs. That we'll talk about later. Then it has a second effect. After it may once per turn, you may trash one of your Celestial Dragon type characters from play, or 1 card from your hand, draw a card. So obviously this is reminiscent of Sakazuki. Sounds like Sakazuki, right? But then I thought to myself, well, it may not be like that broken like Sakazuki. What would make this good? But then I realized it can take one off the field. So it's not like a cycle from hand. So you can then play a searcher and then sack the searcher if it's a Celestial Dragon, which is really, really powerful. And to me, I think that is where this deck is going to be broken in terms of generating advantage, because you're not taking a card out of your hand to maintain the hand size. You're taking a card off the field to increase your hand size. So a searcher replacing itself and then getting sacked off for another card is a +1. So I think that's really strong. So we're going to go over the 5 Elders. Okay, these are all going to be the alt art cards. I cannot wait to get my hands on these. I love the upper cost emblem for play, as well as just the card art. I think it's just absolutely beautiful. So 6 cost, 5,000 power, 5 Elder Stars and Celestial Dragons with 1,000 counter. That 5 Elder Stars is a very big deal. If your trash is 7 or more cards, this character cannot leave play by your opponent's effects against blocker. I'm going to flat out tell you, getting to 7 in this deck is easy. It's easier to get to 7 in this deck than it is in Blackbeard, by far. This is probably one of the most insane trash fill decks I've seen. It's better than Lucci. It's better than Blackbeard. It is crazy. Every single 5 Elder rare card on print that isn't the 10 cost has that effect written on it. So if you think 5 cost Kuzan is bad, get ready, because you're about to see 5 different character cards that all are going to be immune to removal. And this card gains blocker. On play, you may trash 1 card from your hand. Key up to one of your opponent's characters with an original cost of 5 or less. So it hits at the time of play at 6. Anything under it with original cost. So cost increase does not matter here. Pretty good card. 5 Elder J. Garcia Saturn. Okay, 4 cost, 5,000 power, 1,000 counter. 5 Elder Stars / Celestial Dragon. If you have 7 more cards in your trash, this character cannot be removed again by your opponent's effects. On play, look at the top 5 cards in your deck, reveal up to 1 5 Elder Stars type character and add to your hand. Place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. This right here is what I was talking about when I said that I think that it gets broken, because with leader effect, you contribute this card off to draw another card, which I think is insane. Next, 5 Elder Saint Topman Warcurry. Okay, 4 cost, 5,000 power, 5 Elder Stars Celestial Dragon type with 1,000 counter. If your trash is 7 or more cards, this character cannot leave play by your opponent's effects and gains blockers. So now we have 2 blockers, and this one on KO draws a card. So we got one that KOs a card, and we got another one that draws a card. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Again, very broken effect here because it replaces itself. Very, very strong card. 5 Elder Saint Shepherd Jupiter. Okay, 7 cost, 5,000 power, 5 Elder Stars Celestial Dragon, 2,000 power. Okay. If your trash is 7 cards or more, this character cannot leave play by your opponent's effects. During your turn, if your trash is 10 cards or more, give all of your 5 Elder Stars type characters a base of 7,000 power. Oh my lord. Holy crap. This is broken. This is broken because now it turns all these bad boys right here into 7s. All of them. And the next one into a 7. But wait, there's more. Again, 5 Elder Saint Ethan Baron V Nusdrul. 6 cost, 5,000 power, 5 Elder Star Celestial Dragons, 1,000 counter. Trash is 7 cards more. This character cannot leave play by your opponent's effects and gains rush. On attack, if your trash is 10 cards or more, give it to one of your opponents, minus 2,000 power for this turn. Very, very okay card, but when you think about the fact that, again, this card cannot be removed, none of them can be removed, gets a little bit annoying. 5,000 power, though, not too bad. 7,000 rush with minus 2k, very bad, very bad. That's very strong. Yes, it's a 6 cost, but we'll get into that, okay? We'll get into that. And then I read this card, and I was like, okay, cool. They got a 10 drop. So what is this? 5 Elder Stars, 10 cost, 12k power, 5 Elder Stars and Celestial Dragons. Also special slash for its attributes. Activate main if your leader is Emu. You may trash one of your Dawn and trash one card from your hand. Trash all of your characters. Then play from your trash up to 5 Elder Star type characters with a power of 5,000 that all have different names. Why? Okay, well, it's a 10 cost, so it's your entire turn, and it's slow, right? You'll have to rest the Dawn on the activate main. Leader has to be Emu, so it can't be displayed anywhere, thank God. You have to get rid of all of your characters, so anything that's in play is going to die, which if they're 5 Elder Stars characters, it doesn't really matter, which for the record, they are all 5-star Elders characters, and they're all 5k, so they're all going to get played off this card. But at least it's slow, right? Then I started looking at the support cards. I was like, okay, not broken. And then I read this card. On play, look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Reveal up to 1 Celestial Dragons type card other than Saint Shalria and add it to your hand, then trash the rest and trash 1 card from your hand. And it so happens that Miss Saint Shalria here is a Celestial Dragon. Remember this leader effect? You may trash one of your Celestial Dragon to... Oh, great. So we got a searcher that looks at the top 3 for a Celestial Dragon, which is everybody. And it's not her, and you get to add it to your hand, then trash the rest. So you put the others in the trash, and then you trash another card from your hand. So you put 3 cards immediately in the trash. And then you sack this card off with leader effect to put a 4th card in trash. Absolutely powerful. Wow. And then I got to this card. Oh my God. So remember that Holy Land Marriage Yosei that the leader can play? At the beginning of the game, play up to 1 Holy Land Marriage Yosei type stage from your deck. This is the most unfair garbage I think I've ever read in my life. So get ready. Strap in. Your turn. If your trash is 19 cards or greater, give your leader 1,000 power. Not broken. Okay, at least it's not 6k for some stupid reason during my turn, the opponent. This activate main though, I have no idea what they were thinking with this stuff. Activate main, you may rest this card and 3 of your Dawn cards. Play from your hand a black 5 Elder Stars type character that has cost equal to or less the total number of Dawn cards on your field. Let me explain what that means. For those of you who do not understand, this 10 cost play is now 4 Dawn. That means this card comes down at 10 Dawn for 4. Let me tell you what that translates to. 6 plus 4 is 10, plus 4 is 14, plus 7 is 21, plus 6 is 27, plus 10 is 37. At 10 Dawn, Emu can play 37 Dawn worth of cards for 4 Dawn and have 6 back for defense or to play other cards. What on earth am I looking at? You want to talk about power creep? Y'all thought Gecko Moria was bad. Why don't I just play a bunch of cards that can't ever be removed? What is this? There's power creep, and then there's just printing Kuzan, 5-cost Kuzan effect on every card in the deck, and then saying that we're gonna play every single card from the trash. They were worried about Gecko Moria, and then they were like, yeah, we gotta ban that because we can't have cards coming out of the trash. It's warping black out here, and then they're out here printing this card. What is going on, man? As if that wasn't bad enough, this abomination of a card, what are you talking about? We don't even have stuff that hits stages. And conveniently enough, the only card that I can think of in the game that actually hits this card, is in this deck. In this deck of all decks. Like, I mean, I might be wrong. Maybe there's some other stage killer that I'm not thinking of. Maybe Braham from Yellow. But oh my God. Like, oh my God, this is 37 Dawn for 4. You thought that 21 for freaking 8 was bad, bro. Holy smokes. I mean, the only thing that remotely comes close to this, and it doesn't because it costs 8 Dawn to do it, is maybe Reiju playing Judge. But even then, none of them are nearly as impactful as this. Let's talk about this. You play this card down, play for 3, then you use the effect. That's 4 of Dawn. What are you getting out of this? You're getting a KO immediately of a 5 or less original cost on the board, and you're gaining a blocker. You're gaining a search for another 5 Elders card, so counter. You're gaining another blocker that when it dies, it'll draw another card just to come back next turn. You're also going to get a card that during your turn will buff, which ties into the next card, which is this Rusher that is now going to run at them for 7k, most likely, and can give something else minus 2k for the turn, while Emu has 6 Dawn to poke or play other cards with. What are we talking about? This is the most insane amount of nonsense I have ever gazed upon in my life for this game. This isn't even remotely in the same conversation as Gecko Moria. It's not. It actually just isn't. None of Gecko's cards could rush. All of these cards have 5-cost Kuzan effect literally printed on them. And to make it worse, this all happened for 4 Dawn. Like, I can't express how stupid this is. And their searcher puts 4 cards in the trash to start the game. This is hands down the most noob-friendly, power-creeped, insane nonsense I have ever seen. It's insane. This is the strongest repeated late game on steroids. You couldn't even Gecko even remotely close for the level of value that is going on in this deck. Not even close. You'd like to think that you can. You can't. And I'll say this, Emu should have been a 5-life leader based on all the 5s and 5 Elder Stars and the 5k power and all this other stuff, right? But this is why they did not make her a 5-life leader. They said she must be 4. I don't even want to know what would happen if she was a 5-life leader. I thought to myself the other day that this deck is trash and, you know, can just go jump in a lake. It's not good. It's not good. That's what I was saying to myself. You have all these characters that are just 5Ks, 7Ks on your turn. Cool. You have to get to 10. And we're going to talk about the weaknesses of the deck, and that's fine. Seeing this played in person, because there's people who've like printed out samples and whatnot, seeing this go down in person made me realize one thing. If she doesn't die swiftly, she's going to win the game. It is going to be very, very difficult to kill this deck. And here's the other thing. Swiftly, I say swiftly because it's also going to be very hard throughout the game to beat her. We're going to go over that, okay? Again, not saying there aren't game plans that are better. I don't think she's tier 0. I don't think she's the most she's not even the best deck, in my opinion, out of OP13. And I don't think she'll be the best deck in the game. She may become the best black deck ever. That's for sure. Let's move on. They also gave her a 5 Elder Surge event. Activate mainly the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal to 1 Celestial Dragon's type, and add it to your hand. Then place the remaining cards in your trash. And then trigger, activate this card's main effect. This is literally My Era Begins, printed for 5 Elders. For the record, by the way, this right here, this plus the other 1-drop, completely snap. If you go second, you play that 1-drop, you sack the 1-drop off, you added a card, you trashed a card, you put the other 2 in there. So you put 3 in there, you trash a card, drew a card 4, you play this, you're already at 7, because 2 of the cards go in this, you'll already be at 7. That's insane. That's just absolutely insane. By the end of their first turn, every single 5 Elder that they play will be completely immune to removal if they draw the 1-drop searcher plus this. And then even if they draw double event, all it takes is what, 1 counter, and they're there. Crazy. Speaking of counter, the world's equilibrium cannot be maintained forever. 1 cost event. Activate main, rest 5 your Dawn if your board has only characters with a Celestial Dragon type. KO up to one of your opponent's characters with original cost of 6 or lower. Counter. Give your leader plus 3k for this battle. This is the problem. It's gonna be this and the next card that we're gonna look at, but this is the problem. If you can't kill her, she's gonna win the game. She's gonna win the game. We're gonna talk about these and some other support cards. Don't even look at this. First effect doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is you're gonna swing 7 at her, she's gonna play this card from her hand. Why? Going second, for 3 Dawn, she can play out this or this. And she's gonna get a search off this one, gain a blocker that draws a card. She can just sack this off if it's not good, by the way. Like if she's playing against Green Zorro and then Karina or Tashigi come down, she can just literally sack this card immediately so that she can get the value of the card without having to use cards from her hand to protect it and just draw another card, giving Zorro nothing really to swing at. And this card, if he does swing into it, she's just gonna get the value of the draw of not sacking the card anyway. But the issue is that the stage plays the card for 3, meaning things like this are broken because now she can get out of a 7, counter out of an 8 with an extra card, right? Well, then look at this. Never existed, right? Activate main list, run of your Dawn cards for leaders, emo camp to one of your opponent's 7-cost stage cards. This is clearly only printed as a counter to the mirror. So whoever sees this, the mirror would come down to probably a number of things, but 100% if you drew this card and your opponent didn't, and you activated this effect to get rid of their stage and they didn't have one, you lose the game. But the second effect is what breaks this deck, 100%. If your leader is Emu, give up to one of your leader or one of your characters 4,000 for this battle. And there it is. Why is this so broken? Because she is playing more efficiently than you every turn, while drawing more cards than you probably for most of the game. The only leader I can even think of that draws more cards probably than her is Kuzan. It's the only one. This is broken. You just have Dawn back for a freak 4k every single turn, which you will replace in your hand by searching another card and then sacking that card to draw another card. Understand this, like this is too much for her to have. It's too much. And they're both searchable. right? Does this one search character? I couldn't remember. No, it just says type. They can all be searched. I mean, make no mistake, you're not going to kill her because there's other cards that we haven't gotten to yet that also are extremely broken. They don't need to print another card for this deck. God help us if they do. They don't need to print a single another card for this deck, and it is already a tier 1 deck. It is a top of the meta tier 1 contending deck, hands down. This deck is so problematic, they may not even need to do something to Blue Purple Luffy just to keep this deck in check and have another check in the meta, even though that would make all of us miserable. This is insane because think about this. She's a 4-life leader, right? That's the only thing that's like driving this deck possibly into the ground. And every single turn, she's drawing 2 cards basically and simultaneously countering for like 3k every turn. Just broken while contributing to her trash. Every time she counters, she gets another card in the trash, which contributes to more effects. This leader's busted. These cards are busted. The fact that this main is useless does not matter. It's a 1 card counter for 4. I talked to my business partner. We immediately also bought 4 barrier card from the Dressrosa. I'm not telling you how to spend your money. That card's also insane. It's like plus 2k, and then I think if you 15 or more cards in your trash, it's another plus 2k. That is perfect for a deck like this because you just have counter. That's all. Like they're never killing you. Once you get to this ridiculous card, it's over. It's actually over. You cannot win the game. If she gets to 10 Dawn and she has 4 life, you can just forfeit the game. You can literally just forfeit the game. Moving on.
Editor here. At the time of recording, we're talking how well Cobra works with the Emu deck. It worked so well, Bandai decided to go ahead and print a card that has the same effect, but it's an in-archetype card. So, everything that we talk about Cobra, just imagine that we're talking about St. Charles, with the only other benefit being now that it's searchable.
Cobra blocker. There's a lot of flavor in this card because of context regarding Emu, which I won't talk about, but this is an extremely powerful blocker for the deck. It mills a card and is great in early game play. What do I mean by this? You can play a Searcher or attach a Dawn to Emu swing 6 and play this card at 3 because your stage cannot possibly play anything that is 3 or less at that juncture. So this is just a fantastic card, contributes to the mill, and to top it off, just contributes to that game plan of getting to the late game. Bartolomeo 2k. Again, why am I showing you this? It is a 2k counter blocker for 3. Remember, this card is only 4 Dawn. It's only 4 Dawn because the stage gets established immediately. This means that this is always going to be available for 4 Dawn unless it is popped by this card. Translating to you doing this. Since this card cannot swing the turn it's played, you could sack this card off for Emu's effect after searching another card and then promptly play a card like Cobra, a card like Bart. And now killing her is just pretty much impossible unless everything just ignores blocker because she gets 1, 2, and you just played a 3rd. While having 3 Dawn back. Guys, this is crazy. This is just completely insane. Another 2k. Draws 2 cards, mills. The -2 doesn't mean anything because anything that KOs in this deck only affects original cost. It's what she is though. She is draw 2, get rid of 2 cards. She's also a 4/4. So at minimum, she's just like the worst play on 4 Dawn that if your hand was completely trash and full of nothing, you can just cycle a bunch of cards out that contribute to your overall game plan. That's why I put her in here. There are probably other 2Ks and other cards that I'm not mentioning here. These are the ones that I've seen in the real life testing. And these are the ones that like I thought of also kind of immediately. And then Bart, right? Those were the top 2 on my list. This one was one that I saw. I think that's pretty good because it's just hyper consistency. This deck is already insanely consistent. Like if you had double 1-drop Searcher to start the game, right? You could play this down and then use leader effect to tribute the second one off to draw. Just crazy. So what is the goal of the deck? Emu's game plan is centered around maintaining hand advantage throughout the leader effect plus other Searchers, defending herself early in the game and late game to establish a 5-wide board from the 10 cost. Throughout the game, she can cheat in cards in her hand equal to her Dawn. This makes her game plan extremely efficient over other decks and gives her flexible turns. And that can't be stated enough. That's why this deck is actually super duper broken because she is overly efficient compared to every other deck. We already know that cheating cards in is always been broken. It's always been broken. It's what like, you know, Gecko bringing a bunch of cards from the trash, whatever. She throughout the entire game is playing 6 and 7s for 3. She's playing 4 costs for 3. She is more efficient than you. You're taking her turn to establish. She's taking half of her turn to establish at the same pace you are. It's crazy. It gives her so much flexibility with what she can do. And other outside tech cards that could come in could affect how potent she is due to her flexibility. She can also be hyper defensive with her Dawn, as she can leave it up for events or blockers while she establishes a 5 Elder. That's what makes these events so ridiculous, right? They're 1-cost event counters for 3 and 4K. The Bartolomeo barrier card is also a potential 4K at a certain point in the game. At 6 Dawn, right? You cheat a rusher in, okay, that gets to swing in a card, gives something minus 2K, and you have 3 Dawn back. You could even play like a Cobra blocker and leave Dawn back for an event. I mean, your pressure is just maintained. Like, unless it's like Zorro, which it's not even gonna matter. Zorro's not gonna win the game. Like, this is just crazy. It's like, oh yeah, well, we can rest stuff. No. Yes and no. But like, Dead Man's Game is about to become like a mandatory forum to make sure this deck dies effectively. Like, I swear, because nobody is going to want to deal with this. This is just crazy. Her 10 Dawn turn plays 37 Dawn worth of cards for 4 technically if you cheat in the 10 cost with the stage. I also need to point out that she does not need to use the 10 cost 5 Elders cards effect either. She can just cheat a 10 cost in literally for 3. One of the most insane decks I think I've ever looked at. On top of this, the Elders cannot be removed by your opponent's effects. None of them can except for the 10 cost. Why they made it so that none of the other cards can be removed except for the 10 cost is completely beyond me, but I'm telling you right now, holy crap. Holy crap. Weaknesses. These are the only weaknesses that I can think of that, like, while there is one glaring weakness that is not written here, but we're going to go over these. Rest. Well, the 5 Elders can't be removed by effects, they can be rested. So Zorro, Green Zorro, at full power will definitely be a hard counter to this deck. 100%, right? That's why when I talked about playing this card, it's just best to sack this almost immediately. So Zorro doesn't, like, basically get to freely swing at this card unless you have the Dawn back to defend it and you want to spend your event on that versus protecting you in the late game. I don't know. Something else I need to point out, this stage, cheating this 10 cost in and then you going 5 wide, you will still have 6 Dawn back. So if you have all these events, there isn't enough Hodies or Dead Man's Games in the world that is going to take all 6 of your Dawn away. The odds that you die lethally if you're healthy in that position are just near 0. But Zorro will be a counter to this deck because, number one, she's 4 life. The early game of her is weak. It's not very, very powerful. The removal cards, like if you played Tashigi to rest a card, right? Like, let's just spitball, okay? This card coming down to KO Tashigi may not even matter if they have a Koshiro on the board or a Tashigi 2K. So you're not even doing anything to that card, right? Well, that card swinging 7 at you every turn as a 4 life 5K leader, that's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. Additionally, what makes this really, really strong into her game plan as a whole is that outside of this character, there is no rush in the deck. So Zorro basically gets to free tax every turn while still swinging at her. And so it's a very weird defensive game. And we already know how Zorro is with charm blockers, right? If you think these cards are saving your bacon, you're losing your mind, right? Same thing with these other blockers, right? Both of these blockers can be rest based off their cost. Karina can rest this one and Tashigi can rest this one. Thank God it didn't say that these cards are not affected by our opponent's effects, because if that was the case, there would be actually just no way to beat this deck ever, probably, other than to absolutely rush kill her. So Zorro will be a hard counter to this deck. Other rest decks could be as well. Bonnie potentially could be a viable option. Not sure how it's going to play out. Bonnie wants to get to her endgame, and it's like supposed to be powerful. The problem is the 10 cost completely invalidates like half of Bonnie's top end. Doflamingo doesn't matter. This card right here, rushing into Kid, is like really broken because of the minus 2K, and they'll all be 7. And there will be lots of attacks coming if she has a full board. So not really sure if Bonnie would be great, but green rest is very good. Ramp into death boards. Roger and purple in general will be hyper efficient to getting to their end game long before Emu can. If she's forced to go first, she is a turn behind the 10 cost, and if she's pressured down or out tempo by the time she gets there, she'll lose the game. So this is very, very pivotal, because that section about me saying if she's forced to go first, that right there is a weakness in and of itself. Going first with her is awful. It's awful. Why? Because most of these cards, while not being able to be removed by your opponent's effects, are incredibly underwhelming compared to the curvatures of other cards. Like, this is a 7 cost card that literally just says, I can't be moved, and all of the cards that are the same type as me already on the board become base 7. The problem with that is that doesn't do anything at 7 Dawn. If you think of like Hody Jones compared to this card, like Hody's way better. If you think about Tashigi at 5 is better than this card, right? Cavendish at 5 is better than this card. So it's like these cards aren't in a nutshell vacuum all the great, right? But when you play 5 of them at the same time and have 6 Dawn back, yeah, that's really, really insane. And true, but the issue is Gol D Roger is going to be at 10 probably a turn or 2 before she even gets to 10. That is a auto loss. I'm telling you right now, it's a loss. It's not winnable. If Roger ramps on curve to get to his end game and he's like 2 turns ahead of her, the game's over. 10 cost be damned, the game's over. Same thing for Blue Purple Luffys, all these like ramp decks. And with Gum Gum Giant, you can swing 7s all you want. Half of the Luffys in this game are base 7. It's gonna be very, very difficult. Very, 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 very difficult. If their game plan is a long game faster, just imagine if BP was not hit in any way. Not saying that they're not going to hit it, but if they didn't hit BP could literally just get to Sanji 9 Mom. Of course, none of the cards can be moved unless it's like the chump blockers or whatever. But what's going to end up happening is you're staring down 2 9Ks. Okay, these events stop becoming all that great when you're staring down 2 9Ks. And Blue Purple, shout outs to Ikai Kali Kai, right? Blue Purple hasn't even entered its I'm trying to rush you phase, which there are rush variants of Blue Purple that can be played at the top end that are very, very fast with Sanji into 8 cost Luffy or Sanji into 9 cost rush Luffy, both the 8 cost rush Luffy and the 9 cost rush Luffys. So you could just get tempoed out completely by the time you get to that 10 cost, and then she's gonna lose. And then the last one, which is just completely obvious. Rayleigh, another red rush, will beat her down long before she can get her game plan online. And if they steal second from her on top of it, oh God, that's gonna feel terrible. Oh God, that is gonna feel terrible. 100%. These are gonna be her weaknesses. Other weaknesses. Blackbeard could be an issue. I'm not saying it's great into her. I'm saying that I'm just looking at off the cuff weaknesses. 2 of her cards get negated on plays. So the Jay Garcia and this on play to KO 5 or less. The other issue is Burgess. So I'll just talk about this for a second. If Blackbeard has a semi-consistent strong game into getting rid of a bunch of his deck into the trash with Stage and Era and Burgess, Emu cannot interact with those cards. And she is just going to get the trash beat out of her, right? 2 or 3 Burgess at like 9 or 10K are a problem. And this little rush horse doesn't get the job done. Number 1, we all know that like blockers are just going to start to become a thing, and he can just literally chump block out or block out into replacements that replace the cards with Kuzan, whatever. And the fact that they're protected from KO is just really, really bad for this deck. Burgess is basically a better 5 Elder card in just about every capacity. And then 10 cost Teach just basically guarantees that this entire turn of playing the 10 cost off of this stage, that's only 6 Dawn, right? That's 6 Dawn. That means that you can't even swing unless you swung this card Rush at 7 with 6 Dawn at 13. You could reduce this 2 to 10 and they just give you 2 2Ks. I don't know. It's weird. But 100%, I don't think it's going to be really good into Blackbeard if you just play the basic game plan for Blackbeard. The Buggy promo counters the 2 4 cost Elders. The problem with Buggy is that in Blue in general is once they get to 7, Blue's best options, which is cards like Gravity Blade, just don't even work anymore. Blue may actually be phased out as a color due to this because just like removing, like if you're centered around removal, it doesn't work. Kuzan would be really strong for 2 reasons. Number 1, all his cards are swinging for 8. Number 2, he can stun cards with a 6 cost. So there is huge counter crack and Pheasant Peck plus other blockers that cannot be removed, like the 4 cost Borsalino will be pretty problematic. And for the record, Kuzan's going to draw more cards than she does. But it's just one of those things where Buggy promo came to mind because it stops the Garcia, it stops the other 4 costs from attacking, but I think the other 4 cost is a blocker, so you're not really wanting it for that anyway. You're usually using it to solve to the end game. But Buggy, even if he's not removing anything, he's still playing a body, 2 bodies, a body, 2 bodies per turn, and that could also overwhelm her. Decks that can go wide hyper quickly, like I imagine GP would be also kind of an issue for her. Decks that go wide quickly can kind of efficiently like strike at numbers that are just really hard for her to deal with and force her to counter out inefficiently. Like swinging 7 at her is like very, very annoying. And Buggy is full of them. Like you play promo into Mihawk, you got a blocker, and to top it off, it's a 7k swing on the next turn. And so you play Croc Mihawk and Alavita, you drew a whole ton of cards, and then to top it off, you have putting yourself, and to top it off, like, yeah, you're not removing anything, but you get like a 7, a 5, a 7 swing, and then another 7 on top of that from the leader. So like Buggy can probably like temper her out, while like Garcia's never really getting any value as an attacker. The other card's not really getting any value as an attacker. So it's like, what are you really attacking with if we're not attacking with like anything other than the horse the entire game? So I don't know. And green resting effects like bonding other cards can get them topped. What I mean by that is like toppled. Rest is just seems to be the clearest way to go. You could also probably look at Carrot. All the cards are swung sideways. Electrical Luna is just dead, so don't even bother trying to play that card against the deck. But being able to rest cards and counter out, like for example, Punk Gibson might be a really good card, and like GP. This deck also hard counters GP if it just sees this KO card, because it flat out kills Sanji Pudding with stage because it's hits original cost. So I don't know. It's gonna be weird and it's gonna be tough. I think going wide, like return to standard purple Luffy shenanigans with 8 cost Katakuri and 9 mom. Could be good, could be bad, don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Is Emu good? Yes. So to answer the question at the beginning, yes. She is hyper efficient, draws a lot of her deck, and once online can be the strongest game plan, period. Gecko on steroids and multiple other factors swing this deck in a way that other decks cannot compete, period. If you think your game plan is better than hers, you're wrong. I can't think of a deck that has a stronger endgame other than Blackbeard than this deck, with what 110 cost can do. Blackbeard's 110 cost is enough to stop the game in its tracks and flip the game on its head. This 10 cost is better than what you did the entire game. The question is can she get there? And so will she dominate? No. Zorro and Roger are for sure, in my opinion, better. They're not just better in terms of what they do, which for the record, Roger is the most insane deck they actually have made. We'll probably go over that as well. And I will also need to see this deck into Ace, although I imagine a lot of Ace's value that's really strong, like Flame Emperor is now just a useless card, which is very annoying. But Flame Emperor also, right, gives him double attack. So if there's not a blocker that can't be moved, if it's like just Cobra, yeah, Ace is gonna punch really, really hard. So I don't know. I'll just need to see how they play and interact. But for sure, Zorro is going to eat her alive. Like, she's just gonna have to throw block after block after block after blocker with like counter after counter after counter. Because if she can't do that game plan over and over again, bear this in mind. As Zorro is continuing the game and he starts playing like Tashigi after Tashigi after like Mihawk, and then events are in his hand, you're cooked. It doesn't even matter you played 5 cards. It's like 8, 8, 7, 7, like 12, 12, 12, like really, really broken numbers. And she doesn't have any really good removal for them outside of that one card, but you have to trash a card for that. Given the fact that Zorro is what it is, and Roger on curve is the most insane deck in the game, period. Like, no doubt about it, the most insane deck in the game. Like, what he does is just unfair on every level. Roger being a 9k and like playing the 10 cost Roger against this deck, it's auto loss. Like, literally, you have to replace the entire board and pass the turn, because it just doesn't do anything. Like, you do nothing the entire time while he gets to set up and do whatever he wants. So I think Roger's just gonna be the apex most broken deck. Emu is very, very good. This is the most efficient deck in the game, period. This makes Sakazuki efficiency look like hot garbage. This just literally makes every deck that has tried to play efficient look awful, okay? And make no mistake, there are videos out there saying, oh, Emu beat Roger. No, Emu does not beat Roger on curve. Just sit down with somebody who has the cards, run through the numbers. Same thing with Zorro. You play at the top peak, not the low peak. Because the low peak for this deck is like you just saw all your events and others cards and never saw anything good. Whereas the low peak for Roger is like he just doesn't see ramp. But 90% of his deck feels like ramp. He's gonna see it. And if he takes second, and this is like the other thing, taking second against Emu is so damning for her game plan. Her being a turn behind that 10 cost play, it's like being a turn late to Gecko, but you literally can't play Gecko till 10 dawn. So it's like now you're technically like 2 turns late to Gecko. And so it just feels really bad. It just feels really bad. And I think fast game plans and hyper ramp into end game states just ruin her. Let me know what y'all think. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching as always. And this is Marcus and TCG Discussions signing off. Laters.
起きろ。 起きろ。起きろ。